We're finally here. Trubel has finally joined the cast now. My goodness, this is gonna be awesome. Trubel was one of those characters when I first watched the series. I'm like, okay. Now that I watch it again, I'm like, dude, just great. For those who don't know who Trubel is, go watch the series and then come back. But for those who really just want to know from me who she is, Trubel is another Grimm. We finally get, outside of Nick's family, new Grimms. In this series, in these couple episodes I'm about to talk about, you actually get two different Grimms. You get Trubel, and then you get this old man who's also Grimm. And we're going to talk about both of them, starting with Trubel. Trubel is now a part of the cast. This first episode, episode 19, follow as Nick is investigating these murders that are happening, and they figure out that every single one of them are Vesson, and they're trying to figure out who did this. The only thing they can lead on is they eventually figure out that there's this young woman who's doing it, and they're like, trying to figure out what's going on with her, only for them to catch up to her, and they have Monroe with them, and Monroe tries to step in and try to help them take her down, only to figure out that she's a Grimm. And suddenly, the story completely switched. Instead of them trying to take down this woman who is a very dangerous person, they figure out, oh, she's protecting herself. She's being attacked by these people because, from her standpoint, I don't know why these random monsters are attacking me. Where are these monsters coming from? Am I insane? From their standpoint, oh my goodness, we just met a Grimm. Run for our lives, or try to take her down before she kills us. And that's what we're dealing with here. And so Nick now has to take her out under his wing. She hasn't been charged with any crimes, but in the same way, she's under investigation a little bit of like, okay, what's going on with this woman? And so thus, boom, that's where we have now Trubel in the cast. And she is a badass Grimm. I love it. She's actually she's probably around my age in the series. I think she was 21, so I'm like 22, 23, so a little bit older, but I also like having a younger Grimm. It also leads to the question of, how does the whole Grimm thing, I think the Grimm thing would work better if it was something that it was like kind of a part of puberty, like when you're like 13, 14, so suddenly you become a Grimm. But it sounds like it's more like something that, with Trubel, it happened when she was like probably 13, 14. With Nick, it happened when he was close to 30. Like, all these different characters have it at different times. But I thought it would be interesting if they had it so it was just one age. But in the same way, I think it's cool seeing that. Being able to see another Grimm in the series, and she's going to be sticking around for the rest of the series, and she grows into a pretty great character. Again, she's not my favorite character in the series, but she's still, I remember watching for the first time, watching the episode, and just seeing that moment where Monroe was like, wait, hold on. I'm like, what is he saying? And he's like, dude, she's a Grimm. And I'm like, what? We got another Grimm in the series. But yeah, and it's like, for a second I thought it was just going to be a one episode thing. Like, no, she's here for the rest of the series, and it's badass. I just love it. Also, in these first two episodes, you get to see Adeline go around trying to get the help of the other members, Nick, Monroe, people like that, trying to get her baby back, and she's just generally acting like a new mother who's just lost her child. Like, can someone help me? And they had to refuse her, basically, and it's only making her angry. And by the end of the episode, she's like, okay, I am done crying. I'm taking it in my own hands. And she contacts the royals, who figure out that she doesn't know that they don't have the baby. And so they decide to manipulate her into taking away Nick's powers. And that's what we're going to see in the finale. But yeah, for these episodes, you get to see her go from just searching, trying to find her child, to now digging into her mom's stuff to make these potions to do something with. And, again, already spoiled it somewhat, that she's really trying to take away Nick's powers, like he took away hers. Now on to the next episode. In episode 20, you have it so Trubel joins Nick on a mission. This time it's dealing with these young women who are shoplifters for this guy who just goes by the name Ken, and he's a Vesson, and he kills them if they get caught, or they betray the family, right? And so he's taking these poor rundown homeless people, and he's turning these women into shoplifters for him, and they're making a bunch of money because of it. Or more, if he's making a bunch of money and they get to live with him, basically. But the problem I have with this episode is just the fact that the very episode before this, Trubel was wanted for murder, and again, all the charges got dropped, basically, because, okay, it was in self-defense. They figured that out. But in the same way, the very next episode, everyone in the police department knew who this person was. So in the next episode, she shows up on the police site, and just Sergeant Wu's like, oh, who are you? He's like, oh yeah, my name is Teresa. I'm a, student. Like, hold on. You just completely forgot the fact that the very episode before, you were keeping your eyes out for that exact woman, and she was in she was in police custody. You saw her, and now you already forgot about her. In the next season, you're going to see Sergeant Wu start to pick up on the codon. She looks very similar, but for some reason, the very next episode, when they had just been keeping their eyes out for her, they completely forgot what she looked like. I'm like, okay, that's weird. But I do also like it how in this episode is a great it's a great starter mission for Trubel, because as a foster kid who's poor, having that, and has shoplift before, as we saw in the last episode, she's perfect for the job. But I love how you never actually see her shoplift, because she never does anything illegal. But because the very first night she's there, he takes her into his private room, and he tries to intimidate her by turning into his Vesson form, only to figure out that she's a Grimm. And I love that moment of him being like, "You brought me a Grimm," and then she takes them down along with Nick's help. But I just love that moment. It's like, what's the matter? It's like, she brought me a Grimm. Like, out of anything you could have brought me, you brought me a Grimm. Like, I thought it was a pretty cool episode. Great starter episode for Trubel, outside of the fact that somehow she wasn't noticed as the Trubel from the episode before. Anyways, we leave this episode with seeing an old man holding one of the 7 keys. And that's where we get into the next episode. The next episode begins with a dinner party where Nick gets a call from a random stranger named Josh, just saying, "Hey, I wanted to make sure this was Nick Burkhart." It's like, "Yeah, this is. Do you need something?" Like, no, never mind. And he just hangs up. And you figure out in the episode that who he is the son of this other old man who's a Grimm, and he did not get his Grimm powers. And so he's probably going to sell off all his dad's Grimm supplies the moment his dad dies. And so his dad, worried about these priceless artifacts from his past, the Grimm weapons, the Grimm books, all this stuff is very important to keep in the family or keep to Grimms. And so he's trying to get a hold of Nick, who he knows is a Grimm, to take the supplies. And I love it how in this episode you get to see that you get to meet that there's other versions of the Virat, and how there's this one section of the Virat dedicated to hunting down ancient artifacts of Grimms and wrestling and all. And so you have Nick trying to investigate the murder of this Virat agent who was found in this room, and he gets to see this footage of this old man and this younger man carrying this case. And it's like, okay, what's in that box? What's in the box? Anyways, you have him investigating this. In the meantime, Josh, the son, goes to Nick's house finally. He's like, okay, I'm going to talk to him and all. I'll show him a picture from one of these books, and he'll probably be like, "You are crazy," and I can just walk away. We'll be good, because the son does not believe that all this stuff is true. When he shows up, Nick is not there. Trubel's there, and so Trubel sees these images and okay, that's a Vesson. I'm coming with you. We're going to figure this out. And I really like how in this episode you get to see Trubel step up, and she's not this she's a confident Grimm in this episode, and you get her, she's badass. She goes in there and she's like, "Okay, what are we dealing with this?" Okay, and in the ending episode, the new Grimm artifacts, and we get another key. 2 out of the 7 keys. Let's go. So anyways, guys, yeah, so these episodes were pretty solid. I really love the introduction of 2 different Grimms. One of the Grimms die in this episode, so you don't get to meet him for too long, but it's really interesting, because if Nick's mom was in town at that same time, there would have been 4 Grimms in town at the same time. But I love how in this episode you have you have Nick's family, and it's only in just one span of 3 episodes. I'm reviewing them in sections of 3, so I think it's really cool, the fact of you have it so you have 2 Grimms get introduced in this one video. And I'm you're gonna have more of that later on. But yeah, these episodes are great. I really love these episodes. All in my favorite? No. Again, season 3 is not my favorite, but I do love season 3. And I love some of these episodes. Tell me your thoughts below, but next week is going to be the season finale. Video unto itself, deserving of it. We'll talk about that later. Thank you guys for watching. This has been the Movie Net Reviewer, Peter Wary, signing off.